Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the audio cast. Again, we haven't changed it, so I'm leaving out the finding truth part. But I felt inspired today and last night because I'm always thinking. I'm always thinking about things, and sometimes topics come up that I'm like, I think I should say something about it. And I'm not a speaker, as in I don't go out in the public and speak. I do like talking on here. I guess it's a little more, you're in your own home and you could just kind of sit down or wherever you want and say something. And I think that's pretty cool this day and age, having that ability to do that. I do hope the audio is good. I spent a bit of time trying to learn how to mix and master audio because it was quiet. And if your audio is bad, that's the real killer for anything. Also, holding this mic up in my hand because I don't have one of those podcast arms is very tiring, especially if you're talking for like 15 to 20 minutes and you let your arm down and all of a sudden it's like really tight and it hurts because you're in one position for too long. That's kind of what I'm dealing with. And also just trying to turn this mic the right way so my voice can come across more clearly, and I don't have to throw as much compression on it after the fact when I'm in the post phase where I'm editing and mixing and cleaning things up. But I just wanted to jump on here to speak to the teenagers who are Christian and that are coming up and they're getting to the adult age, and this is more like I'd say probably like 12, 13 and up. Really focusing on 16, 15, 16, 17-year-olds because I've seen a lot. I've been to different churches, I've been to different youth groups, and I've seen how the kids are and how they are later on, as they grow up and when they exit the church. And I think it's more just putting the spotlight on them and giving them a reality check. And I don't want them to, or anybody who is around that age, or maybe there's a parent, I don't want them to think that this is guaranteed how their kid will turn out. But from what I've seen inside of a church, it's super common for teens who become adults and leave the church to pull away from their faith. I mean, it's one of the more common things. There are some reasons why. One of them is teens will hear something. Maybe it's from someone around them, or maybe they'll read it and misinterpret it in the Bible. And that'll plant a seed in their mind. And if you're not careful, if you don't acknowledge it and try and get more understanding on what you read or heard from a pastor or someone in the church, it can eventually lead you to decide, well, I don't want to be a Christian anymore. And for me, some of the common things that has influenced people to pull away or just totally denounce their faith altogether, things like how come certain things like murder wouldn't lead a person to lose their salvation. That was one of the things I remember talking to someone, a friend, back in the day, talking to him about. Once your name is written in the book of life, it's there. It's not going to be taken out. Also, I don't think people like all the rules. And I think when you become an 18-year-old and you either go to college or you eventually move out, you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I'm my own person. I'm trying to find myself. I don't want people to tell me what to do. There are too many rules here. Like, I can't date non-believers. Don't get drunk, with alcohol. There's just a lot of things you have to be mindful of as a believer. But I've seen people who looked like they had a strong faith end up turning and denouncing in some way and going off and trying to find some type of truth in other religions that were never going to fulfill them, that were never going to give them that truth that they want. Um, and so I guess if I was in front of a group of teens who were passionate about their faith, I would honestly just tell them, look to your left, look to your right. There are those of you here today that are Christian now, but in time will not be Christians. They will turn away and they'll go their own way. And you never know what's in someone's mind. And I know that people would probably look at that and say, well, that's super negative that you would say that to somebody. Or that, like, why would you say that to somebody? And I think the reason why is I would tell them after that, I would say, look, you have two choices. Like, you can turn away from your faith, and that's your choice. You can let something get into your mind and find a home there, and then produce all this anger and then influence your decision to turn away from your faith. Or you can fight for it, because to think that you're just going to become a Christian and then all of a sudden you're good is not the case. I believe that every day the enemy is trying to do something to make you denounce your faith, turn away, and go towards a different direction or the wrong direction. What better thing for the enemy to experience than to know that one of the followers of Jesus has turned away and is now just a part of the world and is no longer a Christian. And I think that some of the things that the enemy will do includes injecting these thoughts into people's minds, kind of like, are you sure he said that? Or, he did that in the beginning, in the Garden of Eden. And, I said Garden of Eden, and then all of a sudden I had this uh-oh moment, like, did I say the wrong name? It comes from stuff from the past, but that's another topic for another time. In any case, I would tell these kids, these teens, that it's up to them whether or not they choose to follow God for the rest of their life. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy by any means. You're going to be facing doubt. You're going to be facing difficult circumstances. You might feel like God's not there. You might have times where everything's going wrong, whatever it is. And people fold. People will fold because some might have been led to believe that if you become a Christian, everything is good. Some might experience such a difficult situation like the loss of a family member or a friend or something in their life, and they might just be turned off by, well, why would God let this happen? And that's a huge reason, I think, why, those doubts come into people's minds. Why would God allow this? Why would God allow that? And I believe that the enemy can use all of that to, again, try and get people to turn away from their faith. And so, for any young people listening, it's up to you whether you want to follow God or not for the rest of your life. If you decide to follow him, you have to lock that in and just, no matter what, continue to follow him, even if even if stuff is getting in the way and you're feeling like your relationship is not as good, or you're doubting, or whatever it is. It's a fight. You have to fight to stay a believer. You have to fight. And it's just totally up to you. And so some of you will stay with the faith, and others will choose to turn away for some reason or another. And that's your choice if you decide to make that.